Tonight on 16 Minutes. The entertainment industry has been overtaken by fun havers. This group of people claims that art should not be a painstaking creative process, but should in fact be fun. Videos of people, quote, having a good time often turn out to be just as rewarding to make as much longer, more difficult forms of art. When asked for comment, one fun haver states, "We be goofin'." For a look inside the mind of one of these fun havers, we sat down with Tyler, who is currently having fun playing with his keychain of Wario. So I like to make things, but behind every good maker of things, there's a thing that was made by another thing maker that thing maker then went on to enjoy because of the making things. What I mean is that if there's anything that I like to do more than creating something creative on my own, it's enjoying the creative things that other people have already made. But recently I feel like I've started to notice this common theme in basically every piece of art and creativity that I've ever enjoyed throughout my life. And that thing isn't necessarily a tangible piece of the creative process or anything, but to me I think it might be the most important thing in terms of how I'm able to connect to a piece of art and the artist behind it. And that is how much fun you're having while making the thing. Now obviously as a creative person, that's probably a piece of advice that everyone gets at some point, is that you should make the stuff that you enjoy making. But I'm more interested in the perspective of an audience member. As a viewer, I feel like there is a much deeper connection that I have with basically any work where I can tell that the artist was just dicking around and having a good time. I mean, this is something I've been pretty open with about on my channel before, is that I always have been a fan of these sort of old school, unpolished YouTube videos like 2012, 2013 era, where everything was a mess, everything was unpolished, there were bloopers and mistakes in the video, and yet it felt very human. It felt like people were just creating to have fun creating, and they didn't care so much about how the final product looked. They were just messing around and having a fun time. But it wasn't until very recently that I started to realize that that vibe of just having a good time making something isn't necessarily limited to those dumb old YouTube videos or anything, and that actually the vast majority of art that I've enjoyed throughout my life has found some way to tap into that exact same feeling of this is an artist who's having fun doing something. And I think what really tied this all together for me in terms of the importance of having fun with the stuff you create is this song by Vulf. How Much Do You Love Me is already such a fun, upbeat love song, but there is an energy to this performance that I think takes it a step above your average happy song into something where you can feel the positive vibes coming through it anytime you listen to the song or watch the music video. I mean, watching the video especially, you can tell how much fun these guys are having when they record it, but even in the final recording of the song itself, which I believe is that one single take from the music video initially, even just through listening to that track, you can tell these guys are having a fantastic time. I think what in particular sold me on this song is this one moment where the singer just breaks and starts laughing in the middle of the song as he continues to sing. And they left that in the final recording of the song, and it is my favorite moment in the entire thing. There is something just about that laugh that takes you out of the song for a second in the best possible way. Even though they're sort of breaking character, so to speak, it's sort of a fourth wall break, but it just reminds you that these are real people that are doing this because it's fun. That laugh stood out to me in such a way because it's something you almost never hear left in these professional studio recordings of songs that are put out these days, but it was authentic. It felt real, it felt human, it felt fun. And it made the song a whole nother level of just fun and entertaining to listen to. By leaving in this sort of imperfect moment, they are tapping into the more human element of what is behind the song, of the fun that the performers are having creating something. It's something that you don't get to see in a perfectly polished musical recording most of the time, but it adds so much to the authenticity and the honesty of the music. It makes me feel like I'm connecting to the creator rather than just connecting to the art, if that makes sense. And I think that's something I've actually kind of noticed circling back to YouTube now. The same type of thing appears in a lot of YouTube videos these days, where we're having this weird sort of renaissance, if you will, of people leaving bloopers and laughs in the final cuts of their videos. I think that was what YouTube was born off of in the very beginning. And then over time, I think, as YouTube started to become more of a legitimate platform for creators to have a career or whatever, people started to push to take that shit out. We don't want to see your bloopers, we don't want to see you laugh. We're making real professional content these days, and we want to be taken seriously. People pushed for YouTube to become this more serious platform for creators, but it's just in the last couple of years that I feel like more and more people have tapped into this idea that YouTube isn't like Hollywood, it isn't like TV. What made YouTube special in the first place was those mistakes, was the unpolished nature of it in a way. And I honestly think I've noticed a rise in people just intentionally messing up or making their videos janky, or at least leaving in that 1 second where they tell a joke and then to go and turn to the side and laugh or whatever. Just that split second is enough to connect with the actual creator a little bit more. I think some creators have just realized that there is value to letting your audience see you laugh, see you break sometimes. It doesn't matter if it's an imperfect take for one of your videos. That's the advantage that YouTube has over Hollywood and whatever else. You're allowed to just be yourself and have fun and break character without being forced to sterilize whatever you're making into the most polished, technically perfect films ever. There's actually this great video I watched by Hi, This Is Andreas, which talks about perfectionism and the way that that can sort of iron out the fun and the soul behind the stuff you're creating, when in fact those imperfections can often add to and enhance the value and the appreciation of your art. And that sort of willingness to embrace the imperfections of a performance as something that adds to the entertainment value of something rather than detracts from it is exactly what I see Vulf doing in How Much Do You Love Me? And I really hope that more musical artists and artists in general will follow in those footsteps and give us more raw, unpolished recordings, not because it's the most perfect take they have, but because it's the one that they had the most fun with. But one point I wanted to make that extends beyond music and YouTube videos comes from The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom are some of my favorite games of all time. I think Breath of the Wild still is the best game I've ever played. But something that I've heard said about both of these games a lot is, oh, you can tell the developers were gamers. And well, I feel like that's kind of an annoying cliche comment at this point, where you're just like, yeah, they're one of us. Like, of course they played a fucking video game. They work for Nintendo. They make video games. What do you mean? But I think the real meaning behind that comment comes from this very similar place of feeling the fun that the developers had creating this thing. You can tell these people love games and love doing what they do, because it's like the creation of both of these games was just a constant series of asking themselves, what would I have fun with in a game? What would I want to do? What would I want to see interact with this? What if this interacted with this in this way? Wouldn't it be cool if we could do that? And they really tap into that same curiosity that all of us have, where we see something cool and we go, hey, what if I put a rocket on that? So whether you are a game developer, a filmmaker, an artist, a crocheter, I don't know, I feel like there are these little ways where people have been able to sort of break down the walls, I guess, between the art and the artist, and let us take a little bit of a peek into just how much fun they're having making this stuff. And that adds exponentially to my enjoyment of the thing at the end of the day. So let us see you laugh. Show that you're having fun. I don't mean you have to turn to the camera and say it out loud, but find little ways to include yourself and your enjoyment within the thing that you're creating. There is this kind of indescribable, infectious feeling that I get from pieces of art where you can tell the artist is just having fun with it. And I want to see more of that, because I think that is so much more valuable than creating something that just feels professional. It's a whole lot more fun to watch something when it feels like people had fun making it. That concludes our special report on having fun, something I haven't felt since Mario Super Sluggers released in 2008. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the true key to happiness is to like and subscribe. Today's episode of 16 Minutes was brought to you by Jeff.